Alana, Jaylo.
Yes.
Guess who's back?
You are.
Yes.
Rick is back.
Back
Tell
again.
a friend.
We were just talking about Miss A.
Yeah,
Because now you have two.
I do.
And you were asking me, is it normal if you're in one room and ask her to play a song and she plays it in another room? I've had that issue before.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually didn't ask you. I told you.
You told me.
I did.
You told me it was normal.
No, I told you that that's what happened.
Okay.
I thought maybe that was part of what happens, but it was just so funny, and I thought, I wonder if it happens to him too.
It does.
Yeah.
But once you kind of know how to navigate those waters, it's a little bit easier.
You know what else happened?
Tell me.
So I did my laundry last night, and I told the dot. Well, I was trying to tell this dot here.
In your bedroom.
Yes, to set an alarm. Well, because my door was open, the other dot had set the alarm.
Interesting.
Isn't
okay.
that funny? I don't know. And I thought, maybe I should have closed the door. I was like, wow, okay. Well, that's something really hilarious.
Yeah. I have been going down a technology rabbit hole of my own.
Apparently you have.
Because I finally got...
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, I said that it's going to be, really cheap and easy for me to figure out how to record my rooms on Clubhouse.
Yes.
The cheap and easy part were both incorrect, but I have figured out how to do it now.
Okay.
But I finally broke down and I bought a PodTrack P4 from this company called Zoom.
Uh-huh.
It came in late.
Yeah.
But I did get it this week.
Oh, good.
Which means we're going to be able to do a virtual date next week. But just like the setup and everything.
Yeah.
And the file sizes.
Oh, geez.
Oh, my God, babe. So what it does... first of all, I'm glad you can use a SD card to record.
Yes.
And I'm proud of myself for buying the 512 gigabyte SD card.
Good
which
for
is
you.
the highest one it'll support. Well, you're going to find out why even more so in a minute.
Yeah.
When you record something,
Yeah.
it records in 6 different channels. So you have the 4 mics.
Yeah.
It also records the sound pad.
Uh-huh.
And then a separate stereo mix.
Okay.
And they're all WAV files, which are higher quality than MP3s, but because of that, they take up more room.
Interesting.
On top of that, there's no way to adjust in the settings to lower the bit rate or to only record on like 1 or 2 mic channels.
Wow.
So for example, last night it was 2 nights ago, I did a recording with a friend, and it was about an hour and a half.
Yes.
I believe in total the amount of storage I used for that was about 7 gigs.
Wow.
Yes.
That sounds complicated.
It is, and it doesn't transfer onto the Mac very easily. Like, you can do it, but for some reason it takes a while to transfer onto it, and you have to shut down the device once you've gotten your files off for some reason, because it'll just stay stuck in file transfer mode.
Okay, then.
Yes. What do you think about that, babes?
It sounds complicated.
It is complicated.
It sounds very complicated.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we did a test this week.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
It was weird because I could only hear you for a second when you plugged in. I'm like, what is wrong with this thing? I thought it was me, but it was actually the device.
I think it was the way I was using it too.
Yeah.
Because on Clubhouse, I haven't gotten any complaints. And when I listen back, my voice sounds relatively good as far as the levels go.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Well, interesting.
But we are excited about doing the virtual date next Tuesday. Or at least I am.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it, babes.
I wonder what kind of mischief we'll encounter.
I say we spend some time on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
We could also listen to music. And maybe even watch a movie.
Yes.
Yes. If you want to, babes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm going.
Maybe a movie.
Maybe a movie.
Yes.
Yes, you will.
That's right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Speaking of films,
Yes.
we did something on Saturday, even though we weren't together.
Yeah, that was actually kind of fun.
It was a friend's idea.
Yeah.
He wants to start doing descriptive movie nights.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my own club on Clubhouse called Blind Audio.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hey, why don't you do it through the Blind Audio Club? And he's like, that's a great idea. What movies do you want to watch? Immediately, I thought of doing the Back to the Future trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have Clubhouse. So
No.
the way we did it is and I was supposed to get my pod track for a couple of days earlier, but it ended up coming late, so I didn't have it then, which would have made this a lot easier.
Yeah.
But because of that, you had the Back to the Future movies on descriptive. So what we did is you called up, I put you on speakerphone and next to my iPad so you could talk to everybody and me a little bit during it. Right. And then when my friend pressed play, I muted myself on Clubhouse, put in headphones.
Yes.
Had one headphone in one ear, listening to the movie, and I had put headphones into my smartphone and had one headphone from the smartphone in my other ear so I could listen and talk to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
That was fun. I didn't stay for the whole thing. I watched the two Back to the Future 1 and 2, but I did not watch Back to the Future 3 with all of you because by that time it was already like midnight or 12:30ish when I got off of the phone.
We started at around 8, and in retrospect that was probably not the best decision.
Yeah.
But it's an experiment too. You know, we're learning how to do this.
Yeah, I don't think I would have started that late.
No.
Yeah.
Do you want to give an overview of the Back to the Future films, or would you like me to do it?
I think you should do it. I mean, I could, but I think you should do it.
Okay, now, I want to say, even though they're 3 movies, it's really one story, so I'm not really going to pause until I've told the entire version of Back to the Future, if that's all right with you.
That's totally fine, because it's a continuation of one story.
Correct. And if you haven't seen it,
you got to see it.
Yeah, you're an
You
asshole.
are way, you're way behind.
You gotta see this movie.
Yes.
Okay. Starts out, and then I'll make it somewhat fast, but also, you know how I go on these tangents. Mm-hmm. This guy named Marty, he goes to this house that has all this really cool technology. We find out that it's owned by a man named Emmett Brown.
Doc Brown, yep.
Yep, who is a scientist in this town of Hill Valley. Mm-hmm. He wants Marty to meet him that night. It's something crazy like 1 a.m.
Yeah, like really weird time of the morning, yes.
Yeah. So Marty says, okay, he goes off to school. It's a Friday night. And he is in a band, performs for the school because he wants to be involved in their local dance. Yeah. They say no.
Yeah.
He's hanging out with his girlfriend Jennifer, ends up coming home. We find out that Marty's parents love him, but they're a little bit on the broke side.
Yes.
Things aren't always going right.
Yeah.
At one point, we see this man named Biff who is harassing Marty's dad. And Marty's dad is a bit of a wimp.
And Biff is like his, his associate, I think, right?
His boss.
His boss, I'm sorry.
Who was a high school rival, but we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that, yes.
Yes. So Marty's like, okay, this is weird. He goes to bed and then gets a call, and it's Doc reminding them of their meeting and saying, hey, Marty, bring a camcorder here. Yeah. I want to show you something.
Yep.
Goes there. And Doc Brown comes with a DeLorean, which we find out is also a time machine.
What a cool car.
Yes. And, Marty's surprised about this.
Yes.
They do a test where they send the dog Einstein a minute into the future.
Yep.
And they record it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Marty's like, this is really cool, man. How did you get this plutonium? Because that's what powers the DeLorean. Doc explains that he bought it from the Bolivians, who I believe were enemies of the U.S. at this time. But,
I think so.
What do I know?
I don't know either.
At one point, they come to kill Doc Brown.
Yes.
They shoot him. Marty hops in the time machine. And it only works if you go 88 miles per hour with the destination set into the computer.
Right.
It's set into 1955. Returns to Hill Valley. A week before his parents kissed at prom and fell in love.
Yes.
He starts living in the town, sees a young Biff harassing his dad.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, his dad is trying to look at his mom suggestively with his binoculars, and he's pretending that he's bird watching. And the story that Marty had always heard was his dad got hit by a car. The mom's family took him in, and then that's how his mom, Lorraine, fell in love with him.
Right.
I mean, that's how they first kind of met. And
yeah.
then it was crystallized at the actual prom.
Right.
Right? But Marty saves his dad from being hit by a car. So that happens to him.
Yes.
He wakes up next to his mom, who's a young, 17-year-old, and he's like,
yes.
You're my mom.
Yeah.
And you're hot.
That's not what he said, did he?
He said something to that effect.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Well, he didn't want to feel like that because she for sure thought that he was pretty good looking.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin.
She looked at his underwear that said Calvin Klein.
Yeah.
And since this is 1955, that was before he was really a thing. So
yes.
She thinks that's his name is Calvin Klein.
Yes.
Okay. So now she's in love with him. Marty goes to see a somewhat younger Doc Brown, even though he looks the same as he did in 1985.
Right.
Convinces him that he's from the future by showing him the videotape.
Yep.
And there's a discussion. Doc says, hey, you can't do anything here. You have to remain in this house, be as quiet as possible. Marty explains, well, I did one thing. My mom's kind of in love with me. So Doc's like, okay, this is concerning. They look at a picture that Marty had in his pocket of him and his family.
Yep.
And his brother, Scott, I believe, is disappearing from the photograph.
Dave. His brother, Dave, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Is disappearing, yes.
So Marty has to go to the school and convince Lorraine that she needs to be with Marty's dad, George, which isn't that easy because George is kind of a nerd.
Yes.
And Lorraine likes bad boys because we get a sense that she's
a wild one.
She's a lot. Well, we can assume that she had some fun back in her day.
A lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Maybe with animals. I don't know.
Bubs.
Who knows?
Bubs.
Babes?
With men, you mean?
And animals.
Bubs.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. In any event, Marty tries to build George's confidence up. At one point, he sneaks into his bedroom and pretends to be a spaceman and threatens to melt his brains if he doesn't get Lorraine to go to the prom with him. Lorraine has no interest in this. She only wants to be with Calvin, a.k.a. Marty McFly.
Yes.
So Marty says, okay, let's go to the dance together.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes to George and says, okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to harass her in the parking lot.
In the car.
And you're going to come along and beat me up. She'll fall in love with you. You two will live happily ever after, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it gets to the night of the prom. And Marty decides to rape his mom. No.
No. It didn't happen quite like that.
They're together and...
She kisses
him. He leaves the car, right?
Well, and then I have to mention this part because she said, oh, I just realized that kissing you is just like kissing my brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He leaves the car. There are these musicians who come out. Mm-hmm. And Biff starts harassing Lorraine. He's going to rape her. He is going to rape her.
He wants to, yes.
Marty's dad, George, comes around, sees this, and punches Biff out.
Yep.
They go into the prom. One of the band members had his hand hurt in a scuffle with Biff and his crew.
Yep.
So he can't play the guitar, and Marty knows that this is essential because this is when his parents fell in love.
Yep.
But Marty plays.
Yep.
So he goes on stage, playing with the band. his hand starts to hurt because he's disappearing from the picture.
Right.
They haven't kissed yet.
Yeah.
Finally, they kiss. Everybody reappears. Marty decides, in a very odd display of cultural appropriation, to play Chuck Berry.
Johnny Be Good.
And implying that Chuck Berry stole it from him, which would not fly today, but it's fun to watch.
I don't know that it was cultural appropriation. I thought it was kind of funny, actually.
I thought it was funny. I'm looking at it through today's standards.
That's hilarious, though. Yes. I thought it worked.
Because at one point, the guy who's like a music industry person says, "Remember that sound you're looking for?" And he holds up the phone so the person on the other end can hear Marty play the guitar.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Implying that this black dude stole from this white dude who's a white guy who really stole from the black guy.
Right.
But
yeah, I thought that was hilarious, though.
In any event, this is also the night of the big storm in Hill Valley that basically caused their clock tower to stop working.
Yep.
This is essential because the Doc Brown from 1955 doesn't have access to plutonium.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to use the energy from the lightning to send the car into 1985. Marty has to jet. Mm-hmm. He leaves. And we should also say that he tried to tell Doc, the 50s version of him, "Hey, bro, you're going to get shot in 1985, just so you know." Mm-hmm. But Doc doesn't want to listen to it. Marty wrote him a letter. Doc tore it up.
Yep.
Marty keeps trying to tell him, but he's not listening. Mm-hmm. Marty decides, well, wait a second, I have a time machine. Why don't I go back like 10 minutes before Doc was shot, and then I'll just stop it, right? Mm-hmm. So, do the thing. He's sent back into 1985. He has a little bit of time, but some things happen, and he makes it there after the Bolivians shoot Doc Brown.
Right.
He goes over, and Doc gets up. He unzips his shirt, and we see a bulletproof vest. And then Doc has a pocket, removes the letter that Marty wrote him in 1955, and it's pieced together by tape. Marty looks at it, and he's like, wasn't there all that stuff about you're not supposed to mess with the future?
Right.
And Doc just says, well, I guess I just figured, what the hell? It's a line I always loved as a kid.
Yeah.
Yes. Marty wakes up the next day, and the family's changed. Everybody's happy, and the parents are successful.
Yep.
Biff is still in their life, but he's working for them now.
Yep, and he's like he's become like some kind of a family friend, I guess, if you could say that. Even
though he tried to rape Lorraine,
and even though he's been George's bully ever since they were in high school.
Yes. Well, now he wasn't. Now, after the punch, he stopped being George's bully.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Marty also has a copy of his new book that just came. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he's happy. He's like, hey, I just wrote a book, and I didn't even have to really write it.
Yeah.
Right? How cool am I? Mm-hmm. Gets to his car, picks up his girlfriend, Jennifer. Mm-hmm. They're kind of just chilling, talking about the future.
Yes.
And then who comes down?
Doc Brown.
Saying, hey, we got to go to 2015 because something's wrong. And Marty's like, what is it? Do we turn into a couple of assholes? As a line I also really liked as a kid. And he's like, no, you're fine, Marty, but it's your kids.
You have to take care. You have to find out what's going on with your kids.
They take Jennifer with him and go to the future. And that's where the first movie ends.
Oh, that was such a fun ending.
Yes. All right. So we stick with the plan and we do the recap of the other two films.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Because yeah, go ahead.
Start the second film, and Biff saw them leave in the DeLorean.
Yep.
And we will get back to that later.
Yes, we will.
But for now, they land in 2015, which is very different than the reality of that year.
It is very different. Everything is digitalized, but it's unrealistically...
Like the weathermen actually knew what they were talking about in this version of the future. There were flying cars.
There was a way to take a mini pizza and make it into a full-size pizza by putting it in this contraption.
Yes.
Whatever you call it.
But we'll get there soon.
Yes.
They land. Oh, before they do that, Doc injects Jennifer with something that makes her pass out.
Yep.
And he tells Marty, hey, we're doing this, so when she wakes up, she's just going to think this is a dream.
Yep.
They take her and they put her behind a dumpster, which I also don't think would go very well today.
No, it wouldn't. Like, why would you do that? Don't leave her there.
Right. Cops come, they pick her up, and they take her, and they're going to take her back to Marty's place. But we're also going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Marty from 1985 is roughly the same age as his son.
Yep.
So Doc says, okay, you got to dress up like your kid. Go into this place, this restaurant that is like this 80s themed place, and just hang out there. These guys are going to come in and they're going to want you to take part in a robbery.
I have to mention this too about the 80s themed house. You see a couple of waiters. One of them happens to be Michael Jackson. The other one, I forgot who it was, but they were waiters at this place, which I thought was kind of funny.
So it's like, well, what happens if I don't do this? And Doc Brown explains, if you don't do this, your son's going to go to prison for 15 years, and in another week, your daughter's going to try to bust him out, and she's going to get 20. So he goes there. There's a big scuffle. Marty ends up stealing a hoverboard. Things get complicated, but the guys who were going to take part in the robbery end up getting arrested, so his son never gets involved with it. Okay, they go. Jennifer's taken to Marty's house, the Marty from 2015.
Yes.
And we find out that this McFly had some stuff go wrong in his life due to a car race. Mm-hmm. And has never stopped feeling sorry for himself.
Right.
He ends up getting fired from his job because he takes the advice of some guy named Needles and helps break into the system.
Needles, yes.
And we're going to get to Needles when we get to him, but there's some interesting stuff there. Mm-hmm. Okay. While Doc and Marty are trying to get the young Jennifer, old Biff breaks into the DeLorean with a almanac saying all the sports teams that have won events during the last 60 years.
Yep.
Takes it back to 1955, returns. Doc and Marty obviously don't know this. They go back to their time. And Marty's like, Doc, what are we going to do with Jennifer? Well, we're just going to put her in front of her house, on her porch, and I'm going to go back and disassemble this old time machine. Mm-hmm. Okay. Marty goes along his way, and something doesn't seem right. He goes to his home, finds out that another family is living there, and realizes pretty quickly that they are living in a dystopian world.
Yep.
Hill Valley is basically Biff's town.
Right.
Biff is super rich. He basically controls the city. He killed George McFly.
Yes.
And is now sleeping with Lorraine.
He's now her husband.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yes. Marty gets knocked out and wakes up next to his mom, who is kind of like above him with big old titties. Because Biff paid for them. Babes.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Doc and Marty get together. They're like, we got to find out what happened. We think it might have something to do with this almanac.
Yep.
Marty goes to Biff and says, tell me about this almanac. He basically explains, well, this is the day I got it. And one last thing. The old man who gave it to me said something about how one day either an old man or claiming to be a professor or some teenager would come up to me and ask me how I got this.
Yeah.
And he said, if that ever happens, kill them. So he pulls out his gun. He's like, funny. I never thought it would be you. And Marty's all like, you forget one thing, Biff. And he's like, what? And he's like, what the hell is that? Which I loved as a kid. And he starts running. They end up on the roof. Mm-hmm. Marty jumps off. The DeLorean can fly, so it caught Marty.
Yep.
And they go back to 1955. I'm going to try to speed this up just a little bit.
Yes.
Because it's the same day of the dance, Marty has to hide from himself.
Yeah.
And I'll skip over some stuff, but basically he sees Biff's grandma. He sees the young and the old Biff interacting.
Right.
And the whole exchange. And I really like that, but
yeah.
I have a problem with it now that I'll tell you about at the end of this recap of all the movies.
Yeah.
They go to the prom, things happen, and then there's the big lightning storm.
Yes.
It hits the DeLorean that Doc is in after Marty destroys the almanac.
Yeah.
So the 1985 Doc is sent back to 1885, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this because at the end of the movie, a Western Union guy comes to Marty and says, we've had this package for 70 years and we were told to give it to you on this date.
Right.
And we don't know.
We don't know who it is.
We had a bet going on and looks like I lost. And basically says, okay, I'm living back in 1885 and I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second movie, unless you count the previous to the third, was actually in the theater.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about the third movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Go on.
Back in 1955, Marty approaches the Doc from that era, explains what happens. They do some digging. They find the DeLorean. They kind of have to repair it, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, good luck, because they also found Doc Brown's tombstone. Oh. Which is like from a week after he sent the letter to Western Union.
Yes.
Okay. So Marty goes back to the past instead of to the future. Right?
Yes.
And he runs across these Native Americans, but Seamus McFly, who's basically Michael J. Fox with a Irish accent, rescues him. And his great-grandfather is like a baby, and he was the first McFly born in the U.S. He spends the night with him. He goes into Hill Valley, which is now this western town. And he sees Biff's great-grandfather, I guess, who's this gunslinger. Eventually, he runs into Doc Brown and explains, bro, we got to get out of here. I know you're enjoying yourself, but Biff's, I think his name was Buford.
Buford?
I could have that wrong, because you know how I am with names.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
We're going to run with that for now. We're going to run with Buford.
Okay, Buford.
It's going to kill you in now just like 5 days, because it took Marty a day and a half to get to him.
Yes.
Okay? And they look at the obituary that they found in the newspaper once they found the tombstone, right? Mm-hmm. Well, this is weird. It says that he survived by his love, Clara, but that can't be right, because Doc hasn't met anybody named Clara.
Clara, yeah.
Okay. There is a lady that he is supposed to meet named Clara Canyon. Mm-hmm. Is it Canyon?
I don't know.
Oh, no, that's not the right name.
In
any event. Clara, played by Mary Steenburgen. Mm-hmm. She's coming to town, and something's wrong with her horse. Doc rescues her. They have a connection, and then Marty explains, Clara Clayton.
Clara Clayton?
Yes, and I'll tell you how I know this.
Okay.
After he rescues Clara and she goes on her way, Marty says, that's weird. She had that last name Clayton, and there's Clayton Canyon, and she's a teacher.
Yes.
And Doc says, well, why is that interesting? He's like, well, at the school they always say that Clayton Canyon was named after a teacher who died like 100 years ago.
And that was her.
And it exactly. It clicks in Christopher Lloyd's head. Oh, shit, I may just change the past. And you're not really supposed to do that when you're in the time traveling business.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Time goes on. They go to the commemoration ceremony for the new clock tower that's just been installed. Which I thought was, I didn't notice this as a kid, but I really like how they connect the clock tower, because in the second movie, when they go to the future, there's a little kid collecting donations to help preserve the clock tower.
So funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways. There is a confrontation there between Buford and Marty. Mm-hmm. Marty has told everybody that his name is Clint Eastwood. Right. Marty, a.k.a. Clint, defends himself.
Yeah.
And at some point, the name on the tombstone I'm sorry, is it the Tombstone? I think it's either the Tombstone or the newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I maybe they took a picture of the Tombstone, but it changes from, Emmett Brown, or whatever he was calling himself back then. I think he did call himself Emmett Brown, to Clint Eastwood.
It's funny.
Okay. Doc is falling more and more in love with Clara. They have to leave the morning of the shootout, or else one of them is going to die. And the only way they can harness enough energy is to use this old train to pick up enough momentum. Now, the thing about that is they can really only do it once because the DeLorean can't fly anymore because, time and everything.
Right. Uh-huh.
And they have to, once they have that speed, they're going past this cliff and they're going to be sent into the future. Doc's thought is that if they time it just right, they'll move into the future where there is a bridge, and they'll come out on the bridge in 1985. Okay? So they plan this out. Doc isn't sure if he's going to go because him and Clara are bonding over talking about science and Jules Verne. But he decides he has to leave. He goes to tell Clara, I'm leaving. She says, well, you can tell me anything, Doc. Where are you going? He's like, I'm going to the future. She kind of freaks out over this, which is natural.
Yes.
There's the gunfight. Marty wins. He takes off. And Clara decides that this might be true. She goes after them. Doc rescues her and sends Marty into the future by himself. Which is now our past. Making it nice and confusing.
Right.
He lands in 1985. Goes to see Jennifer. She's like, I had this really weird dream.
Yeah.
We should also say when she was in Marty's house, the one from 2015,
Yep.
she heard about him and the accident.
Right.
If I didn't say that before, I'm saying it now.
Yes.
So she knows that there's a car race gone wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Her and Marty are driving around, and Needles pulls up to them. Marty's Achilles heel is he goes after people who call him chicken. He can't take it.
Don't ever call me chicken.
Yep. Which is a nice 80s trope for a kid's movie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, right. And Needles starts taunting him, calling him a chicken. And Marty's like, all right, we're going to have this race. And he revs up his car. Needles goes, but Marty doesn't. Needles ends up crashing into another car. And Marty's like, oh, you didn't think I was going to let him get away with that, did you? They're just chilling out. And who comes back into their life? Doc Brown.
Yes.
He's in a time machine that's a train. And he has Clara and two kids, Jules and Vern. Of course. He tells Marty basically, the future is what you make of it, and we're going off and enjoy life, bro. He leaves, and that's the end of the trilogy.
I gotta watch that movie again. It's been so long.
It hasn't been
Jules
that long
and
for
Vern.
me. Yes.
Jules. No, it's been last week.
Yes.
Jules and Vern.
Yes.
There was a man named Jules Verne.
Well, they talk about him in the movie.
Yes.
Remember, there's a great, or maybe you don't, there's a cool scene where it's Clara and Doc Brown are hanging out and they're talking about science.
Yes.
And he says, oh, I read Jules Verne when I was a little boy. And she says, Emmett, that can't be true. That book's only 10 years old. And he's like, I was a boy at heart.
It's been so long since I've seen it.
It's a really good movie.
Yes, it is. It's very good. Okay.
I will tell you this.
Yes.
My friend, even though we did it through my club, he's the one who really organized this thing.
Yeah.
And when we're about to watch the third movie, he says, this is my favorite of the trilogy. In my opinion, I think 2 is the best film.
I would agree, actually.
But having rewatched 3 as an adult, it's a lot better than I remember it being. And I never thought it sucked. It just wasn't my favorite.
Okay.
It's solid. It's really
I
good.
would agree the second one was really good, too.
Yes. Okay, so we should also say that these were the movies I watched a lot as a kid. These films and Bugsy.
Yeah.
I watched these films so much I could quote them A lot, if I wanted to.
I think if you had your way, you'd quote them every hour on the hour.
No, I don't know about that. Maybe when I was 6.
Yes. On the playground, you said.
Yes. Well, actually, it's 6. I only saw the first one because the 2 sequels hadn't come out. No,
Okay.
the second film I think came out when I was 6.
Did it?
Yeah, and then the third film came out when I was 7.
Okay.
Did I think I might have said it the other day, babes, but I don't think I mentioned it here.
Okay.
It was like 2 or 3 days before the third one was supposed to hit theaters.
Uh-huh.
And some theater in town was doing a special screening where you could buy a ticket and go and see 1, 2, and then 3.
Really? No, I didn't
before
know that.
everybody else did.
Wow.
My aunt actually got me tickets and my dad lost them.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You told me that, I think.
Yes.
But I didn't know that you could actually see 3 movies.
Yeah, it was like a special thing too, because not only were you going to see the first 3 movies, but you were going to see the third one before anybody else.
Wow.
You know, and as a kid who loved Back to the Future, I was like,
it's a great movie. Great
very
trilogy.
excited and then getting completely disappointed.
No. Well, that's okay. Now you can see it anytime you want. All 3 of them back to
come on,
back.
it's not the same.
It isn't the same.
So that when I was 7, that was supposed to be the first time that I saw all 3 films back to back.
Wow.
But this turned out being the time that I actually did it.
Yes.
And I have to say, the films for the most part connect really, really well together.
They do.
Plus, there are a few things that I got watching these as audio descriptive movies that I didn't really pick up. One of the things that we talked about in private but haven't mentioned here is the Jaws reference in the second movie. There's a scene
so funny.
where Marty's walking around and there's this 3D image of this Jaws shark coming out towards him.
Yes.
Now, they played the music from Jaws, but a couple things that you have to remember about me. The last time I saw these movies, I was around 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have a reference to Jaws, right?
Yes.
The other thing that makes it cool that I never knew is the poster in the movie says Jaws 19, this time it's personal, and it's directed by Mark Spielberg. Steven Spielberg was one of the producers on this movie and is good friends with Robert Zemeckis, who directed them. So I picked up on that this time, and I thought that was a really cool
hilarious.
inside joke.
That is really funny. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing I found interesting is in every movie, there's always a scene where something goes wrong with Marty.
Yeah.
He's rescued and he wakes up next to a female relative. So you have the first movie with Lorraine,
his mother,
waking him up or being there when he wakes up after he stops his dad from being hit from the car.
Yeah.
The second movie, Lorraine's there when he gets into a fight.
Yep.
In the dystopian 1985.
Yep.
And the third movie is back when he's in 1885 after the tussle with the Native Americans. And it's one of his early ancestors.
And he wakes up next to another woman?
Yeah, and it's like his great-great-grandmother.
Ah.
I thought that was kind of funny.
That is kind of funny, yes. Yes, it is.
I really like these movies. There's a few things that I picked up on them, though. Do you want to give your analysis and then me give...
It was really cool to see the first 2 movies again, because there are things that I did remember, but things that I'm like, oh, I overlooked this, or I forgot about this, or, oh, I didn't know this was in the, I didn't know about this, either I didn't know about the detail because it was visual, or I forgot about that detail. And it was really fun seeing it now as an adult, seeing them now as because I think the last time I saw these movies, I was like 16. So that was a long time. It seemed like it was yesterday, actually, but it wasn't. So it was really fun seeing them again. Yeah.
Before I give you some minor complaints.
Yes.
One thing you may not know about Needles, because I was unaware of it until my friend pointed it out. Do you know who played Needles in 2 and 3?
No.
Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Really?
Yeah, that's what my friend told me.
The lead singer?
Yes.
Wow, I had no idea. I did not know that. Wow.
Oh, wait a second. No, I think Anthony Kiedis is the lead singer.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony Kiedis. Yeah.
And Flea is one of the guitarists, I think.
Oh, wow.
I believe
but
so.
Flea was the one who played Needles.
Yes.
Wow.
Which is super cool.
Oh, wow. Huh. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And ZZ Top are in the Western bar.
Oh, wow.
During the shootout.
That's
another thing my friend told me. I did not know that.
Wow.
And I never got into their music.
They were okay. I wasn't into their stuff either. I mean, I liked maybe a couple of their songs, but I wasn't really into that.
Oh.
They were big on MTV back then.
Yeah, that was also before my time.
It wasn't.
Oh.
You were just...
We come from different generations, baby.
You act as if I'm like 50 years older.
Oh my goodness. What else?
I was the younger of the Gen Xers, which is on the cusp of the Gen Yers.
Of the millennials.
Of the millennials. Yeah. So I'm on the cusp of it.
I think people would look at our intergenerational relationship and say, good for them. That man's dating somebody who's a little bit older than him. And they're both living. And that lady is a really cool cougar.
What?
Yeah.
I don't qualify as a cougar. You know why I don't qualify as a cougar?
Why is that?
Because a cougar is someone who is over 40.
You are.
Maybe even 50.
Over 40.
But they're dating someone like as young as 21.
I didn't want to tell you this, babes. And apparently I won't because I don't want you to tickle me. All right, babes. Let's get back to the movies.
You're trying to make an old joke, aren't you?
Oh, what is?
I know of a cougar, a real cougar, that is kind of I've never met this person, but it's kind of a disturbing. I don't know what I would call it. It's like they're both adults, but it's kind of weird to me.
Something that's coming to my mind, babes, and don't freak out over this.
What's that?
Let's say that there's a teenager who is in a bestiality.
What?
And finds an actual really old cougar.
Bubs, really?
That joke did not land.
No.
Okay, babes.
That was one of your jokes.
I can't wait until I get the rim shot sound down on my pod track.
You can have the rim shot.
Yes. But I think we should get back to the movies.
All right.
Here's a problem I had with them as an adult that I didn't really think about as a kid. Or if I did, I don't remember. They go to get young Jennifer. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, Doc says to Marty, we really have to make sure that she doesn't run into the 2015 version of herself because one of two things will happen. They'll either pass out or the universe will explode. Or at least our galaxy.
Yeah.
They see each other. They both fall asleep. Faint.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is a relief. She didn't die and our universe is still here. Okay, so they rescue her, take her home the whole nine. Mm-hmm. I could live with that.
Yeah.
And I could even live with Marty with Doc from Back to the Future 2 telling Marty from Back to the Future 2 not to run into the Marty from Back to the Future 1.
Right.
When they go back to 1955.
1955, yeah.
Here's my problem.
Okay.
Old Biff
Yeah.
goes and hangs out with young Biff.
Yeah.
And nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you on that one.
Yeah, it's a little bit...
Nothing happens with the Biffs.
Well, like, the universe doesn't explode, they don't fall asleep, none of that.
No.
Yeah.
But things happen with Marty and Doc.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so you mentioned this, which I did pick up on, right?
Go ahead.
Biff was Marty's rival. He was his bully. And he also tried to take Lorraine from Marty.
And he was George's
I'm sorry. Take Lorraine from George. When I say Marty, I'm sorry. So Biff was George's bully. And then...
And kind of Marty's bully, but
and
more
kind of
George's.
Marty's, but more George's bully. But then, now that they're older, Biff becomes Biff works for George, and he's a family friend, and I'm like, why would you want to be a family friend to this, or a friend with this guy that tried to hurt your now wife and tried to kill you?
He basically was about to rape Lorraine.
He was about to rape Lorraine.
And Lorraine's like, just, oh yeah, that's Biff. It wasn't for him. We never would have fallen in love.
And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but why couldn't they just, like, get rid of Biff and not have him in their life? Because, I mean, he was just a toxic to both of them.
It would have made more sense if the Biff from 1985 was a really bitter person who lived on the street and saw Marty going off in the time machine.
Yeah, but he was still living well.
And friends with
his family. Yeah, and he was still interacting with Marty and you know, and I'm like, okay, I don't get that.
The other thing, too, is Marty comes back to 1985.
Yes.
At the end of the first movie.
Yep.
And, you know, presumably he grew up in this household, even though he doesn't remember it.
Yes.
Because things have changed. But you would assume that at some point his parents would say, you know, he looks a lot like Calvin Klein, the kid we knew back in the 50s. Calvin Klein, who was there for a week and helped us fall in love.
Right. So
you think that would ring a couple of bells?
You wish that they would have acknowledged it.
Yes.
That would have been funny.
That would have been.
But, well, yeah. I don't know. I agree with you on that one, too.
But these are still really good movies. They're kids' movies, but I think adults can enjoy them too. On some
level. No. I think it doesn't matter how old you are. You can still enjoy them at any age, and that's what I like movies like that. It doesn't matter how old you get; you can still watch it.
I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about revisiting these movies, even though I picked them.
Yeah,
it was the first thing that popped into my head when my friend said we should do a movie night.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed revisiting these.
I did too. It was so much fun.
Let's do a little bit of character analysis.
Okay.
Okay. Where should we start? There's so much to cover. Oh, okay, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the obvious. What do the McFlys teach us about forgiveness?
Well, they, I think they are a perfect example of that phrase, forgive and forget, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Biff was awful to both of them, but they were willing to set that aside and forgive him, and he could be in their lives, which I'm all for forgiveness, but it didn't seem like he was very repentant.
No.
And I just don't think that if a person is unrepentant, he shouldn't be in their lives.
But
they decided to accept it.
They decided to accept it, and we also don't know what happened in those 30 years after Marty left and before 1985.
Yes.
So it's possible he came to Lorraine and said, hey, I had a really good time that night before I got punched out, and we're not going to relive it, though, because I realized I was wrong, and I just want to ask for your forgiveness.
Well, he didn't have time to have a good time because nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And George was the one who stopped it.
Yes.
But I don't think that they should have acknowledged Biff's, I don't think they should have acknowledged Biff for bringing them together, because really it was Marty.
Yeah.
I mean, without them knowing, right?
Right, but at some point, again, it comes to the thing about they should have been able to put two and two together, that their son looks and sounds just like Calvin Klein. I
wonder if they they looked back on it, the ones who are still alive, and said, you know what, we could have done this. It would have been interesting if we did this for the story.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, they were willing to accept it, and they were willing to accept what Biff did and accept Biff for all of his shortcomings.
What does Lorraine teach us about being a sexual freak? Because at one point she's trying to, get with her son.
Yeah, she got to slow down.
Yeah. If you've been with so many men that you're trying to get with your son, you might have some...
she got some problems.
You might be a redneck, and you might have some problems.
I don't think all rednecks are like that. By the way,
yes.
I think if it was in today's standards, she probably would have been a total nympho.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's another question. Mm-hmm. We know that the 3 kids they have are all George's kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, or else why would they disappear from the photo when they come back?
Mm-hmm.
What we are less sure about is, does Lorraine ever cheat on George?
Well, I don't, you would think that, right? Because she was a pretty wild one in the 50s, right? And in the 50s, things were different, much different. The standards were different. Maybe she, some women have been wild in their past, and after they got married and had kids, they've changed. So it's possible that she may have changed, and she didn't want to leave Marty or step out on. I'm sorry. George. I keep saying Marty. George. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She didn't want to leave or step out on George.
So you think that she's faithful to him?
I would like to think that.
Okay. What does George teach us about standing up for yourself?
Well, it only takes one punch to get your point across. He was never good with words.
Yes.
Is that a good explanation?
That's a quick one, but I think it works.
Mm-hmm. Not that I'm advocating to, punch everybody that you don't like.
No. What does Doc Brown teach us about messing with time? Not that it's a lesson we needed, but keep going.
He's having a lot of fun doing it.
Yes. And he doesn't want to admit it to the outside world.
Mm-mm.
So do you think that before Doc Brown figured out how to do this, he was a little bit of a masochist?
A masochist?
Yeah, because he's torturing himself by saying, oh, we can't mess with the past, we can't do this, and I never should have built this damn time machine, but yet he keeps using it.
I don't know if I call him a masochist. I think he's just doing the same thing just to see if he can get a different result.
Do you think he looks at the world like you and I do? Or because he's so smart, does he see it in a way that's so different, it would be hard for us to really understand it?
I think he sees it differently. Because, as you said, he's messing with time, right? Mm-hmm. I think he sees it a lot more differently now that he's been in 3 different times.
Presumably more because of his relationship with Clara, and they have the train that's not the time machine. See, that's another thing that didn't work. He keeps saying, oh, just live your life and don't mess with time, and then he goes off on another adventure.
I know, but that's why we love Doc Brown, because you just never know what he's going to do.
That's true.
I like him for that. I think it's really great that, I said that to enjoy our life and not worry about it, but I decided to go on another adventure with you at your expense.
I even as a kid really enjoyed the cartoon they did of this movie.
I didn't know they had one.
Yeah, it was Saturday mornings on CBS. And it was from 10 to 11, they had the Back to the Future cartoon, I believe followed by Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I know they had that, but I didn't know about the Back to the Future one.
Mm-hmm. I think they were like back to back. Both
I gotta find that.
movie tie-ins about time travel films.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. I did see, I think I did see one of the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure movies.
They came out with a third one during the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
I like the first 2. I don't know if I need to see another adventure.
Yeah.
Yes. Overall, what would you rate this trilogy?
I would give it an 8.5.
I think that's good.
Yes. It's timeless. They are timeless.
They still really hold up.
They do. They do, absolutely.
Individually, like what would you give the first movie?
Same.
Okay.
Same score.
I agree with you. I'd probably give the second one a 9.
I would agree with you on that one too, yes.
And then the third one's probably an 8.5 now that I revisited it.
Okay.
Yes.
I would agree with the 9 thing because it's really, I mean, it could have ended after the second one.
It would have been hard considering that they showed previews for the third one.
Actually, no, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know that it would. It was better. It was much. I liked it better than the first one, but it's really good.
It would have been interesting though if they did end it after the second one, and yet still had the preview scenes.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid when the third.
I hope you do.
I hope I do too, babes. The third movie came out, and there were so many rumors that there's going to be a Back to the Future 4, and I remember hearing rumors, they actually shot it, and they released it in Germany, but they just haven't put it out here, and waiting for years to see Back to the Future 4.
Wow.
Yeah. There was a lot of, weird rumors around.
It was, the hoverboard thing.
Yeah.
I have to tell you this, though. I remember I was sitting in my music class. At this point, I was in school, and I was in a music program, and I was sitting in my music theory class, and we were talking about 5/4 meter, which is a time signature in music. And my teacher mentions the 30th anniversary of the first Back to the Future movie, and she was talking about that the theme song to Back to the Future, da 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 da. How does it go? Da 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 da. That's in 5/4.
Yeah.
And it was perfect timing because it just happened to be that year of the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, it was perfect timing. Get it?
Wah, wah, wah. Yes, dear, I got it. But I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is really cool.
Yes.
These are really great movies. We highly recommend them. I feel like I've spent a lot of time talking about them. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No. It's well, okay, I'll just say this. For those of you who haven't seen it, get on the ball. For those of you who have seen it, it's great to go back and see it again. You will enjoy it just as much as you enjoyed it when you first saw it.
Just as much is a strong term, because again, I love these movies, but they're good.
This is my opinion, though.
Okay.
Not yours.
Okay. I believe you're factually incorrect. But go ahead.
Whatevs.
And then there was a silence. But they're good movies, though.
They are very good.
Yes, you
watch them.
Yes. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, babes?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, do we want to talk about what happened earlier this week?
No.
With the avocados?
No.
Oh, I do.
No.
But are we not going to talk about them now?
No, because no.
Okay. If it comes up tomorrow in the natural flow of conversation, we'll talk about it then.
Yes, that I can agree with that.
Do we want to talk about what happened with the bathroom?
No.
I love you, babes. By the way, babes.
What's that?
As you know,
yeah,
I do a weekly documentary room.
Uh-huh.
I started recording them. Who knows? Maybe they'll turn into a podcast at some point. If not, then you're going to have to get to Clubhouse.
Right.
Well, you could actually listen to them because you know me. But
yes,
anybody else listening.
I got connections.
That's right. You got the connect.
I got the connect.
Do you know what we are going to be watching for next week?
I don't know yet. We haven't talked about that.
No, I mean in the documentary group.
Oh, no, I don't. What are you watching next week? I didn't tell you.
We are going to be watching Life Itself.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You did tell me that the other day. Yes. Oh, such a good. Well, yes. In a previous episode, we did talk about it. Such a great documentary.
You know what I'm thinking, Jaylo?
Yes.
If everything goes well, I'll be able to bring in calls. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to, maybe you could chime in on Life Itself during the documentary room.
Okay. I think that would be fun, and I'd like to see if there's any new people I can meet and everything. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's something to look forward to. We watched this really interesting doc this week called Hot Girls Wanted. And it's basically about this guy who finds these girls who are basically like 18 to early 20s.
Super young.
Yes. Yeah. And gets them into the porn industry.
Oh, it's so sad. So sad. And where, may I ask you, what were the background of these girls? Did they talk about them?
It was different. Some of them they just kind of mentioned, but one girl, they go into it. It's implied that her family is religious, but not overly so.
Okay.
And her mom is against her being in the industry.
Yeah.
She has a boyfriend who also feels the same way as her mom.
Yes.
At one point, they show the boyfriend meeting her female parents, and they both lecture her about why she should leave.
Yes.
Her dad and mom are still married, but she believes that the dad doesn't know about it.
Oh.
Finally, she tells him, and I think he said something to the effect of, I kind of knew, but I needed you to confirm it for me.
I was you just waiting for her to
come out to him.
Come out and say it.
But at one point earlier in the movie, they go hunting together, and he says something like, I'll always be proud of you. And after he finds out that she's making pornos, he's like, I'll always love you. You know, there's going to be some strain here for a while, but you're always my little girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And maybe when he found out she was in pornos, he had flashbacks to spanking her. I don't know.
Bubs!
What?
I know you made that one up.
I did make that one
I can tell.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
But it was an interesting film.
Wow.
Yes.
Crazy.
We are excited, though, babes.
Yes.
Because tonight...
Yes.
We are going to get into some Monty Python.
Oh, and I don't know a lot of the Monty Python stuff. I know their songs, and they've got some really quirky ones. But the only movie that I remember watching, or rather I should say, I watched The Meaning of Life, and I watched part of The Quest for the Holy Grail.
We're going to have some fun tonight.
Yes, we are.
You have not seen Life of Brian, which I know is not the PC answer, but it is my personal favorite film of theirs. And
okay. Well, I'm not a PC person anyway.
Good for you.
Yes.
You know that George Harrison helped finance The Life of Brian.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Wow. Very good. Yes.
Did you have any dreams this week, babes?
Not this week I can think of. No.
All right, babes, unless there's anything else you wanted to discuss.
No, I think that is good.
Okay. If you're sure you don't want to get into the avocado thing, though.
No.
We'll do it tomorrow, then.
No.
If we get around to it, which we might not.
No. Oh, and I am giving a lesson tomorrow, by the way.
That's right. So we'll be doing 2 podcasts for the price of 1.
For the price of 1. If nobody's paying to watch this.
If we do the virtual, so it's even cheaper. If we get to do the virtual date on Tuesday, which I'm pretty confident we will.
Okay.
Then on Wednesday, we'll do a phone one. Phone podcast.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
And hopefully it'll be a little bit higher quality audio than on free conference call.
Oh, I really hope that because I mean, I don't mind calling free conference call, but if this is going to give us a better sound, I'm all in.
Yes.
Yeah, I am all in.
Because there'll be times in the future where you're out of town and we have to come up with something.
Right, or you would be out of town or something, you know.
That's not going to happen until we reopen, for me at least.
Yeah.
And there's speculation that we may be going further back, but time will tell.
We'll just have to, it's one of those things where we have to watch it, you know, we'll just have to watch it day by day.
Yes.
That's all we can do.
Yes.
As far as watching what happens, we just need to watch it day by day and keep up with everything. As frustrating as it is.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
We might want to watch some more of the Civil War today, babes. Maybe not right now, or we could, but possibly a little bit later.
I don't know. I'll think about it.
Oh. And then we can, because I want to get to The Boys and to Gone with the Wind, but that requires getting through the Civil War.
Yes, I know.
Unless you wanted to go to The Boys and then come back to the Civil War. But I think we should get through the Civil War and then go to The Boys.
Why don't we just decide to watch whatever we want to watch later on? I don't know.
Because I have a weird mind, and this is the way
you do have a weird mind. Once you get on a kick, it's like, yeah.
Oh, by the way, my friend has started season 4 of DS9.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Great. It sounds like he's starting to enjoy it.
He's starting to enjoy it. I don't think he wants to admit it, but I think he's now a closeted fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why didn't just come out and admit it? It's a good series.
You know what I was thinking about him, babes, my
What?
friends?
Yes.
I think because he's into the sex world and everything.
Okay.
And I go to some sex positive rooms and polyamorous rooms on Clubhouse. So maybe on Monday night I'll just call him out of the blue and say, "Hey, you want to go with me to some of these rooms?" Because he's not on Clubhouse since he's an Android user.
Oh.
I might do that. What do you think?
I really think it's weird that you have wandered into these rooms, but I do. Seriously, I'm like, why? Why would you want to get caught up in that mess?
It's just fun.
I mean, I understand you met new friends. It's totally okay.
I don't know. So I don't know if I could call somebody who I haven't been.
Well,
met in
okay.
person
You've
I met people who I'm friendly with.
You met people that you're friendly with, but they're not really your friends. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And most of them you probably won't meet in your lifetime, or most likely you may not ever meet them. I don't know.
That's my assumption.
Yeah. But then I'm just like, okay, why? Why would you want to get caught up in all that weirdness? I don't know.
I was thinking it might be fun to do this with a friend. Take him into some of those rooms. But I don't know. We'll see, babes. I may not do that.
I don't know. And here's another thing to think about, right? He's already got, something, and I do know this person.
Yes.
I believe. But he's already gotten some
pushback, let's say.
Yes, he's already gotten pushback in his personal life. By you doing that may contribute to his to more of his decline in the area.
See, this is why I talk to you, because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, this is just a fun idea we could do on a Monday night, and it might be a fun surprise for him.
I don't know if that's... I mean, maybe it would be fun for once, but don't you think that it might contribute to his decline?
I don't know.
His moral decline in that area?
I don't know.
Should I say?
Who knows, babes? Who knows?
I mean, you would agree. I mean, it's pretty messed up, right?
What? This sex positive stuff?
No. No, I mean, you would agree that his personal... His life outside of this...
Yeah.
...is not exactly the best.
I wouldn't say that. What I would say is it's not for me, but I don't live in his shoes, and I don't think he's doing anything that's so bad that because there's a lot of people who could look at my life and say,
I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just concerned about that. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if he wants to make his personal life better, I just don't know that this would improve it.
Oh. Well, we'll think about it, babes.
Well, I mean, whatever I say, you might just do the opposite, so I don't know that I would really have any influence.
That's not necessarily true.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I did have a really good ride over here this morning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were talking to some guy from that used to live in Boulder, or that's from Boulder.
He used to live there, and he just moved to Portland about... I want to say 3 or 4 months ago. And he's a Joe Rogan fan. And he is a Duncan Trussell fan. I don't know why I say fanned. I'm not with it, but I never am. I always listen back to these and think, what the fuck am I talking about in this? But,
don't worry, because I remember I was listening to one of our episodes, and I couldn't believe how many times I said right. I kept saying right. And I'm like, I can't believe I said that many rights. And I'm like, wow, I really sounded dumb. But, we are our own worst critics. Yeah,
if we were NPR, we could hire somebody to edit this, but we're not. So take it for what it is.
And we don't have famous broadcasting voices. Although you sound like you could have a voice for radio, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I were on the radio, I know we're getting off topic, but if I were on the radio, I'd love to do like a long distance dedication thing or a love songs and dedication thing.
I've told you what I wanted to do. I would want to do something either like what Howard Stern does, if we're talking traditional radio, or what Fidel Rodriguez did with Divine Forces on KPFK, where he would play underground rap music and mix it with political talk. If we're talking about radio, those would be the two types of formats I could see wanting to do.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes. And I think I'm going to start doing music shows next week, babes.
Very good.
But I'm not going to do just political hip-hop and talk about politics because, quite frankly, that requires a lot of research. And
you don't really want to do a lot of research before your show.
I just want to have some fun.
What is the show going to be called?
I'm just going to call it the Music Test Show at first.
Okay.
And then we're going to see where it goes from there.
Okay.
Yes. But who knows? Maybe it'll become a weekly thing.
What about what? Oh, here's a maybe a catchy title. Maybe you should call it Rick's Music Mix.
I have thought about that.
Yeah.
The other idea I have, babes, is I have a lot of friends with different musical tastes.
Yeah.
So I thought it might be cool to have 2 or 3 of them in a room, and we each take turns playing different songs that we like, and it would be very, very eclectic.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Very good, Jay. Well,
okay.
But we will get to that at some point in the future, babes.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
That's right, Jay. Whoa.
That's right.
Oh, the last thing I wanted to say about Back to the Future, and I forgot it.
Yes.
Is it was a big inspiration on Rick and Morty.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Because I know you mentioned it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can see that.
Because Doc Brown kind of looks like, or Rick Sanchez kind of looks like Doc Brown. Right. And there's also the older man taking a young kid under his wing.
Except, I think Marty is pretty emotionally stable. I'm sorry. Marty. Yeah, it's funny because Marty and Morty, right?
Yes.
Marty is obviously much different than Morty, and he seems more stable. But and also Doc Brown seems like a more stable and sober guy than Rick is.
And Rick is not a big fan of time travel.
Yeah. Right, with the time police.
Yes.
Right.
All right, Jaylo.
That's right.
Oh, you probably want to kiss me. I haven't done this before.
Really?
Yeah, come on.
Yes, you have.
Oh, what is
you kissed me earlier.
Oh, then I'm going to kiss you. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or you feel good about this?
No, this is good. We how long was this?
Not too long. I want to say like hour 12 or something. Hour 13.
Hour 12.
Hour and 12.
An hour and 12. Okay, sorry. I'm like, why did you say hour 12? Yeah.
It's not
very
that
good.
long.
I'm like, we haven't been recording this for 12 hours.
No.
No, I think this is good.
All right.
Yes.
Let's call it then.
All right.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.